Welcome back to another episode of a very basic space program. Last time we were putting together a craft to take us beyond where we've been, well, to put more in orbit. This doesn't look like it though, does it? Yeah, please join me. So yeah, this is definitely not a rocket, is it? This is a satellite. I went through the process of designing the rocket that I was talking about, and I actually put a couple of rough designs down. I can show you them. I'll show you them when we're actually finishing it off. You can see the structure that I go through and the steps I take, sort of thing. But yeah, I noticed that we were going to need the larger pad. We were going to need to probably go to the 700 ton pad, so that's going to be something we're going to have to invest in. We're going to need some money for that. We have some funds down there to spend on it, but that does mean that we're then using the money that we were going to use on our science facilities. So we need to, maybe do something while that pad's building, and we also need to think about what else do we want to do. The other problem is that pad will incur me having to use some new engines, which I'm going to have to pay for, but I'm also going to have to research. So that's going to be a bit of research. It's going to take some time to do. So I can't even be building those craft while I'm waiting for the pad to build. So I thought we've got an ongoing contract, which is this operational navigation system. It requires 5 satellites. We're going to launch it in one go. Each satellite has to basically have 120 units of nav-sat payload, and it's got to go into this sort of basically a polar orbit, and it's got to be about 1,000 kilometers up. So let's have a look at what I came up with. It's an interesting little craft. I'll take it to bits for you. So up at the top here we have not one but 2 of our nuclear sources. I could have put solar panels on. The reason I didn't is because I'm lazy. No, these have got a half-life of like 40 years. This system is not going to last longer than 40 years, so I don't need to worry about that. The solar panels we have at the moment, we're already having trouble on some of the ecom craft, whereby their solar panels are clicking in and out of use. Now, I would like to use this as an augmentation of our communication system. That's the primary aim for it. It'll do this contract, but it'll also be in a polar orbit and act as a sort of augmentation for that comm system. It may be that we use it to basically act as a backbone for future stuff. So 40 years is a nice time for me. It's got decent sort of range on its communication system. We're using bipropellants in there as well. So we're actually using aerosine again, which has given us enough punch so that in comparison, I think this completed is about 200 kilograms. Our ecom craft, which had the same sort of payload for sample, 120 units of, I think it was ComSat payload, they weighed almost over twice as much as this. So this has been really pared down. You can see we've got some RCS ports on there. I'm not sure if that's going to be enough, but we will see. It gives me control on a few different axes and things like that. We've got our little engine at the back there that we've used quite a few times, just one of the little thrusters, little tank on the bottom there. This here is our service module, which contains all of the gubbins to complete the contract, 120 units of it. And then we've got, interestingly, if I take this off, actually, you can see I have gone for a hollow control core avionics unit, because basically when you put these inside it, like so. And so that's what I thought. I think it would look quite cool, instead of just having them sort of stuck on the side. Primarily because I want to stack them. Well, not stack this. I don't want to stack them. I want to sit them beside each other. But how are we going to get this into orbit? You say, well, one of them could easily go on a Javelin 3, which would be nice and quick and easy to build and everything. I could put 4 or 5. Now I need 5. I'm going to send up 6, I think. I could put 6 of them on top of a Javelin 4, but that seems like a little bit of an overkill for this launch. So I came up with an idea. Let me show you. So here we are. It looks like a Javelin 3M, but it's got a big top on it. So let me just let's just get one of these fairings and reposition it a bit. There we go. You can see what we've done is we've taken the Javelin 3M and I have stuck on our transfer stage from the Javelin 4. So this is the transfer stage we've been using for going to the moon, for doing all sorts of other things. We stuck that on there, and then we have our 6 satellites on top. Now there is something else hidden amongst there. You will see it later, or hopefully you will see it later. I'm hopeful that it will work. I've just realized that there may be something wrong with it, but that's potentially for another contract we will talk about in the future. So Basically, by doing this, the only cost I am incurring for tooling wise is this large fairing, which potentially is actually useful if we're going to send anything bulky up in future. And it also allows me to reuse this design if I want to send something up. And these tanks for these. So it's not too much actually. In reality, the money we cost us to tool this, to take it from 65 down, is actually less than the cost of, if I show you. So it's 65,000 now. If I press to tool, it takes it down to 32,000. So it's basically halving the price. And if I see how much it's going to cost, it's only cost us 30,000 to tool it. So we're actually saving money by tooling it, and we're going to save time. So we're going to purchase that. There we go. Now remember, this is actually going to be even better because this fairing here we were only having one of. If we'd have had two of them, the cost would have been even more non-tooled. So let's duplicate that fairing up a bit. There we go. Right, and this is going to take about 300 days to build, which is interestingly about the same time as our new launch pad. The mass of this thing is actually under 90 tons. So we'll check that we've got the allowance on this. So let's have a look. Controllable mass 7 tons. That might be a bit tight. We may have to change that. Actually, thinking about it, I will check through all of these and see what we need to do. We may need a little bit of mass increase. That's going to have a little bit increase there. I'll go through those and check them. It may cost us a little bit in tooling, but let's get this built and let's see what the next step is, I think. Right, we can see that is now building. So the Javelin 3 with its payload is going to take about 300 days to build. We're going to build 2 of them just in case something goes wrong, because with 300 days, that's quite a lot. We do have 1,000 days to complete that contract. We potentially could have sent up them in pairs on a standard launcher, but again, it would have cost us quite a bit of time just to build them, because those satellites with their RTGs do actually take a long time to build, and we've got a lot of RTGs on there. So tech-wise, we're still working on this early life support. As soon as that finishes, we can start looking at uprating our craft for on-orbit work, which would be really good for us. We will then move on to stage combustion. We're going to try and get these 2 stage combustion ones done. I was hoping to target the Uranus launch window. I don't think we're going to make that. I think, although these techs are going to be finished in that time, it's going to be a bit tight. Same with Jupiter. So I would really, potentially we're looking at Mars windows for this, possibly these later ones. So in about just over a year and a half's time, hopefully we can send something big to Mars, potentially to Venus as well. We'll have a look and set some things up for that. I would really like to get this Hydrolox done as well, primarily because it will give us the ability to basically improve our RL10s, which means I don't have to worry so much about them breaking down, because at the moment they are actually quite prone to it. We've been very lucky with it so far. And then after that, we've just got power generation. Lunar rated heat shields would be very useful for us, particularly if we want to do anything like enter the atmosphere of, say, Venus. That would be really useful for us. And then we've got just increasing communication and things like that. And we're getting towards the point where science capping and us having to get another one of these operated will be important, because we're currently capped at science research of 80. So we've not got many techs at that level, but if we want to go higher, we have to spend $1 million to do it. Also, when tech increases, we're going to have to spend some money on improving our tracking station, because we need to improve that, and we're going to have to spend quite a bit of money on getting some engines. So we do need monies and funds. If we want a new launch pad, we're looking at $500,000. Now that is a lot. That is a lot of funding right there. But I'm going to spend it. We're going to spend it. We're going to call it Launch Complex. I don't know. 12. There we go. Launch Complex 12, and it's a 700 ton. I do that at the end just to remind myself what it is. That's going to take us it's going to take us about 300 days actually. It's going to take us less than that, but that's good. That will be out of the way, done. It is tempting to go to an unlimited pad, but that is $2 million, $1 million for that one. So it's not a bad mid-step. I think we'll probably miss out the level 6 pad and go straight to unlimited with the next mission upgrade, because if we've got enough for $1 million, we've got enough for 2 sort of thing. Right, so we'll take that, and I think that is us gone. Right, so I'm going to move forward in time now. Again, we do have a lot of craft here just sitting that we could send out. We will probably send something like the Discovery out to Mars. If we don't have chance, we'll send the Discovery 8 out to Mars when the time comes, because I don't think we'll have another craft ready by then. We do have a few craft that we could maybe use for other things. We've got an Icarus we could send up if we want to do something. We've got this this Ton 1, which is for our one of our, basically our satellite missions. I may just get rid of that. I'll have to have a look at what it's set up as. And we do have the Explorers that we could potentially land on the moon, but I really want to send something better for those next lunar landing missions, so I'm sitting on them. I know I could have done them. If we were going as fast as possible, they would have gone by now. So I'm going to warp forward in time, get to the launch of this thing, and let's see what happens. All right, it is the 17th of November 1968. We're rocking through the time here, and we're not really getting very far, but we're not trying to go as fast as possible. We have our navigation system ready to launch. What else have we had happen? Well, we now actually have our big launch pad ready. Our tech has moved on significantly. We're now just about to finish. Well, we're working on early Hydrolox engines. We've got a lot of stuff available to us. If I actually just have a look in here, the things that I'm actually looking at primarily are things like these. These are going to be expensive, though. You can see that, you know, hundreds of thousands to unlock these, and I would really like all three of them, or at least two of them. What I have actually thought about is I think we're going to build something a bit like a Proton first and second stage. So it's going to be this engine. And then up on top of that, I would really like to put, ideally, an RL10 stage. We may end up having to go with the RD-0212. I'm not sure. We've already got the RL10 unlocked, and we could potentially unlock an upgrade, which would make it interesting. We also have potentially the RL87 LH2, so that's a liquid Hydrolox version of pretty much the Titan engine that was used, and so that would be interesting as well to potentially look at. I don't think it ever flew; it was experimental, so there's that to look at, and then we got all these communications and stuff to do. So let's go launch this craft, and let's see if we can get this contract out of the way, because the next contract after it is potentially going to give us quite a bit of money towards building the craft that we need to be building, because right now we don't have the funds. I will also check what's going on with our missions to elsewhere and see what we've got going on. So here we are on the launch pad. You can see I've positioned myself for going polar. I should say I'm not entirely sure how this craft's going to launch, mainly because that second stage is very much underpowered, shall we say. It is barely going to get a thrust to weight ratio of 1. In fact, I don't think it is. It's actually terrible, and it burns a long time. The only reason that I'm actually going to attempt to use it is because we're actually going to try and put this into a very high orbit. We're looking at 1,000 kilometers for its periaps. So I'm happy to actually elongate our orbit quite considerably, which this might be able to allow us to do. So that's not a massive issue for me. It does mean we're going to have quite a few losses on our thing, and I'm concerned that we may not actually have enough delta V on this craft to do what I want to do, but we will try that. I'm being quite, shall we say, clever with what this craft does, because there's something else it has on board that you haven't seen yet that is to help us with a future mission, but we will see. So let's get everything going. I'm hoping that everything's right. Set it to surface. We're going to be going up at 0. We're actually going to go at a minus. We're going to try and get to 90 degrees reasonably quickly, and I think we're ready to go. So start the engines, and then we're going to light the solids. There we go. We are away. Right, the solids are go, go, go. We've got a bit of a wobble there because we do have quite a heavy payload on the top there to be noted, I think. And we're going to start to pitch over a bit. We'll get it down reasonably quickly because we want to start not taking all the gravity losses in the world straight away. Of course, this being the M or N variant, it has a lot of casters on board, so it does take off quite rapidly, shall we say, and then it sort of settles down into its flight profile quite nicely. We've flown something like this a lot before, we just haven't had this large payload on the nose end there. Right, we're waiting for caster separation. It's starting to die down. I think we're going to go now. There we go, they have dropped. Oh, that was terrible. Their thrust, I think we went a little bit too soon with those, potentially. they were still having quite a bit of thrust, and our thrust dropped significantly at that point. So we've got a thruster weight of about 1.7 right now. It does get up there, I think, when we get going, but we will see. We'll see how well we do. We've got a bit of a roll developed, which is something that I am concerned about. But we've had that with this craft before. Something to do with the casters or something generates a roll. You can see our little vernier there is just fighting in a way. I wonder whether it's been twisted out by 90 degrees. It feels as though it's about 90 degrees off where it should be. So I'll have to look into that. You see the roll is continuing, which is a little annoying, a little concerning, but we'll survive with it, I think. We're trying to get up into the sort of a decent bit of thin air, because I really want to get rid of this fairing. This fairing is significantly heavy. We should have probably gone for a slightly sort of lighter version of it, but we will see how it does. Getting up there a little bit more, we're going to continue to tilt over. You can see our apoapsis is climbing nicely. It's climbing nicely. Our time to apoapsis is doing okay as well. So we're gonna put it on about, I think about 30 is where I'm going to sit this craft, because I want to try and just get it up as high as possible to give us as much time as possible with this time to apoapsis. Primarily because, this second stage here is not particularly good. It's if in reality I should have swapped it out for a different engine, or actually got rid of it and just gone for a bigger top stage there that we have. Potentially that would have been a better idea. So we're now coming along. We've got what? We've got like almost 2,000 meters per second left in this stage. Our inclination is getting up there quite nicely. We're going to keep it going until we get to about 90 degrees. I really want to put this at exactly 90 degrees, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to manage it. We'll see. I suppose that second stage will help us with that, maybe. Time to apoapsis is getting up there. Our altitude, our apoapsis is getting up there as well, which is nice. I like to see that. We're going to keep it at 30. We're going to keep it at 30 degree angle of attack, just for now, just to keep it. So we're now out of the atmosphere with our apoapsis, which is nice. We've got another 13 seconds or so to go. Again, we don't mind how high this apoapsis gets. In fact, it'd be really nice if it got quite high. It would potentially save us. That third stage does have relightability, so that's not a big issue for us. But you know, anything is fine right now. So there we go. This is the poor stage. There we go, and we're going to decouple fairings. Here we go. And you can now see the craft unveiled. We are just coming out of atmosphere. There we are. Look at that. Very chunky little thing on the top there, isn't it? And this stage, you can see just how small it is. It's very much the stage that could, if it could, it would. We're currently sitting very low. You see, we're actually not doing much at all. We are gaining on our apoapsis quite significantly. I'm actually going to speed up a bit. What we may find is this thing may start falling back down to Earth. We've got about 4 minutes of burn. We've got about 2 minutes to apoapsis. So yeah, potentially this thing will start to come down before it starts going up again. This third stage has the ability to pull it back, hopefully. It has a lot of delta V on board, potentially. So we will see. We will see what happens. As long as this thing keeps us up there, not a big issue. Our inclination is going quite nicely. We're just getting down. Of course, we don't have to hit 90. We could just be aiming for anything above 88. So we're about to pass that now. We can just see we have the payload requirements, got everything. We just need to get these things into the right situation. We're aiming for 90 for an entirely different mission overall. That is a bit of an odd one, but you will see in the future why I'm going for exactly 90. And it's something I've never done before. Actually, it's going to come in, and it's something I've never ever done before. So it could be quite interesting for me as well. And you'll see when we've deployed these satellites why I'm doing this. Right, let's have a look. We've got about 50 seconds to that, and then let's have a look at this. We've got about a minute until we run out of fuel on this stage. So this is going to take over probably with some time left, with significant amount of time left. So we're going to pull this. Let's have a look. We're getting close to the 90. That's nice. This stage has actually done a lot better than I thought it would, and it is gaining us quite a lot of apoapsis. That means that this is going to be slightly less effective because we're higher up when we're actually burning sideways. Oh, and there we go. We're going to turn that off. We have need to turn the avionics on, would be a good idea. Where's my avionics? Let's just turn you on. There we go. And we're going to pop that down to about 0. Superb. Now this one will do reasonably well. We could actually put a little bit more on there. There we go. We're going to put it at about 10. All right, so this one is going to be trying to push us into the final orbit or near the final orbit. I'd ideally like us to have the ability to put this into its final orbit, which is going to be about 1,000 meters, 1,000 kilometers by about 2,500 kilometers is where I'm aiming for. I'm hoping we have the delta V for that. I think we might have, I'm not entirely sure, but we'll find out. If worst comes to worst, we have to get a bit creative with these things, but yeah, we should be okay, shall we say. All right, let's have a look. We're getting down there in time now. Okay. Let's have a see. What are we doing? About 8 seconds. We're starting to close in on that time, but we're slowing down our time to apopsis a little bit. Getting there. We've got about a minute left on this stage. I'm just looking at these numbers and going, okay, there's going to be about 400, I think, maybe 500 meters per second left potentially when we've finished this. This needs to go to 0. And in actual fact, I'd really like it to go a bit more. And then bring it back to 0. There we go. And a bit more. And we're almost on perfectly 90, that's fine. We'll just hold that like that now. Right, the 90 was reasonably important. I could do a bit more like that. And that just, yeah, that brings it perfectly. Right. So what we're trying to do now is we're just trying to get this thing into orbit, is what I'm fighting with. We've got about 2 seconds, so we're coming very close to our time to apopsis. You can see we're putting just a little bit of energy in to keep us from dropping back down, and that's just keeping us lined up there. We've got 1,400 meters per second left. Ooh, this should be okay. I think we're going to be okay. It's not going to be ideal for what I wanted. I was really hoping for a periapsis of about 1,000. But again, it's about most efficient launch. It would probably be more efficient for us to launch into a 250 by 250 and then do all the other maneuvers sort of from that. But we will work with what we get, I think, is pretty much it. Right, so let's have a look. We're going up and up and up. We really want to get about 1,000. I would love 1,000 at some point. Would be brilliant. Let's have a look. What are we getting to? Ooh, is it going to go a little bit too high? I don't know. Let's kill it there. There. Right, that's not perfect. We may have to do a couple of relights for that. What we'll do is we'll come around to our apoapsis. We'll position this and we'll get it to bump that up as much as possible. We may not be getting the system that I really wanted because we're a bit low on that. So what we've actually learned is that middle stage potentially was needed, but it's time and everything. We could have maybe bumped this up a bit. There is an extra piece of mass on this craft that has probably stopped me from doing what I really wanted to do, but we'll see what we can get to. So let's get to the apoapsis. Where are we? And we want to take, let's have a look. We want to take our periaps up to, let's see, about 1,000. How much is it going to be to take it to 1,000? Oh, right. So take the periaps up that far is a little bit problematic. Okay, what else could we do with this then? I don't really want to have these craft sort of randomly orientated and randomly orbiting and things like that. We need them to be in a circular orbit of about 1,000. About 1,000 when they're finished. So I wonder whether we do a little burn here. Maybe give them half the power they need. Say, I don't know, about 100. Actually, let's do a little test. How much does it cost at periaps right now to bring that down to the target that we want? We want to bring it down to about 1,000. So what's that going to cost me? It's going to cost me about 50. Okay. That's not perfect, but it's doable. And then the rest of this delta V could be for pulling this up. How much is this going to pull up? How much is it going to cost to pull this up to 1,000? Because do I have the delta V on the craft? Yeah, I do. We do have the delta V on the craft to do that. Okay. All right, let's have a think about this. Yeah, I think what we're actually going to do is we're going to do that maneuver straight away. We're going to do it straight away. We're going to do it straight away. We're going to come round to there, and at periaps we're going to pull down our apoaps, because we shouldn't have actually gone that far. We should have saved some fuel. We're actually fighting back against ourselves now. We need to look at this. So we need to be 0.2. So we need to be over 0.2. That's going to be fine there. And then we'll get them to circularize at apoapsis in the future. Right. Okay. I think that's okay. Let's warp around to that. There should be more than enough electric charge on this vessel because of the way it's designed. There we go. It's got signal, has it? Wonderful. We're going to put it on the node. Right, and then we're going to, thank you very much, arm its RCS. It's going to turn itself around. This will be the final-ish burn of this, I think. We may be a bit slow on this, actually. How long have we got? We're 2 minutes until we get to the point we need to get to. So let's do a little bit of timey-wimey warpy. Wait until we spin round. We're trying to save as much RCS for this as possible because we don't have forward thrusters on our top payload there, which would be problematic at best. We are at 90 degrees inclination, which is very nice. I like that. This thing with its fuel currently is not going to help me, though. It's not going to be useful for what I need to do after this, which you will see. You will see in the future. Let's have a look. Right. Come on. Come on. Get yourself onto target, please. There we go. It's gonna align itself for me nicely. Come on, get onto the node. Why is it taking such an effort to get onto the node? Right. It's going to be just in time, isn't it? Right. Have we got fuel left on board there? We do. Got quite a lot, actually. We've barely used any. So, bit of forward thrust. Are we actually going to? There we are. So then we can just fire that and kill it. There we go. Right, what's our inclination? Okay. Stop that. Orbital prograde, please. We've got quite a lot of fuel left on that craft, actually. So we could play around a little bit with it. Do a bit of that. Oh, now we've actually thrown off our inclination. That's annoying. I think we can cope with that, though. I want to go retrograde, actually, don't I? Just use a bit of thrust on this, just to pull that down to a more sensible number. And we can just wait until we spin round, actually. If we turn this off, we can just do it while we're spinning. It's a little trick if you don't want to waste RCS fuel trying to stabilize a craft. There you go. Now, I will have to stabilize this craft at some point, I have realized, for the next stage of this program, shall we say. But we'll work on that. So, a little bit of thrust there. There we go. Oh, we're actually bringing our inclination down as well by doing this. That's good. Right. I think that's going to be enough for us, is it? No, keep going, keep going. All right. Right. Now, next step. Do we have the fuel to do this? Yeah, I think we do. So what we're going to do is we're going to empty this tank, putting fuel basically into our prograde to bring this periaps up. We'll empty the tanks on it. So we're going to warp to here. Yeah, we're going to warp to there. We're going to put ourselves in prograde, and then we'll basically just pump the tank forward as much as possible. Right, where are we? Okay. Is that prograde? Let's figure it out. There we go. There we go. We use the gimbal on that tank to basically fix that. Right. Okay, so we're now floating freely. We're going to turn RCS off. We're going to turn all this stuff off. Right, we're floating freely in space right now. We're pretty much at 90. Well, actually, our inclination's gone completely kaputskid compared to what I was at before, but it will do for now. So, let's have a look. We're pretty much in a polar orbit. We need to spread these craft out. We could actually just decouple them. We could decouple them now and potentially, circularize our periaps and we'd be fine. But I don't want to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to first of all say, right, our current orbital period is 1 hour, 40 minutes and 28 seconds. I would like to spread these out around the orbit. So we're going to, I'm going to basically do this. We're going to increase our orbit. We're going to circularize it. There we go. That's nice. So at circularized point, we're looking at an orbital period of 1 hour, 46 minutes and sort of 9 seconds. Right. We want to space these out around the orbit, so we need basically 6 sectors or 7 sectors. So we want about 20 minutes between them. So I'm actually going to let it. I'm going to let it do a little bit of playing around. What we'll do is we will probably orbit twice between launching each probe, I think, and then we'll put them into a circular orbit. So I'll do the first one, and then we will we'll have a look at what's going on there. Now we're just about to get to periaps, so we're going to try and do this quickly. Let's do this. Let's decouple. There we go. Right, this craft is now going to get its RCS on. It's going to put itself prograde. Oh, what on earth just happened there? Oh my. Well, I am not entirely sure what just happened there. So we had that explosion. It sent me to the middle of nowhere, and basically said the craft was destroyed. But then I go into the tracking station, come back to this probe vessel, which I'm actually going to rename so that we know which one it is. So where are we? Rename vessel. You can see it's now labeled as a probe. We can change it to a relay, and we can call it Nav 120. We'll call it A. And I don't see anything broken on it, which is odd. So RCS is on. Is RCS actually working? We've got tanks that have got fuel in them. Turn that off. Put it onto prograde. Right, we don't seem to have... Do we have control? Let's have a look. Shut down the avionics. Activate the avionics. Okay, so we've got avionics. Do we have thrust on our engines? I don't know. It's very odd. Right. Now, even though those have been activated through staging, the staging is not working. That's really interesting. So we've got a staging problem. Something went horribly wrong with staging there, and I don't know what, in fact. Right, so that's active, that's active, that's active. We get this active here. We can activate that engine. Right. Okay, so we're at least, we're not dead in the water right now. Okay. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to get this to circularize. What's our, it's an OK of flight path. Okay. So we're going to circularize. So we're going to use the maneuver planner actually, because I'm a little paranoid now about all the stuff that's going on there. So we're going to do a circularization at apoapsis, create node, execute the node. Right, it's going to reposition itself. We're going to watch this do this automatically because that's what we do. I don't normally do this. There we go. We're going through space. It's gonna run through this process, go past the planets and everything. Oh, the planet, the surface of the planet. It will position itself. Let's zoom in a bit there, get a nicer view. And it should be able to put itself into a circular orbit right now. Right, let's see. Oh, that's a lovely little image, actually. I'll take a screenshot of that for something. That's a really nice little image. So there should be everything on board that we require for this. Let's have a look. All right, its engine is firing, so we can actually pop out of that. Oh, there we go. That marker's finished. All right. So it says this is going to be very cheap, actually. I wonder whether we could have bumped it up into a higher orbit and done what I originally hoped to do. I may go and play around with these craft later on and position them properly if we've got excess fuel, because you can just walk them around orbits if need be. But we'll see. We'll see what's going on there. It seems very strange right now, the experience that I'm getting of this. The problem we have is that these things are supposed to be able to communicate with each other. Potentially, they will not be able to if they're not spaced out correctly around the orbit. They're supposed to be very accurately spaced, shall we say, and I don't believe that is going to be the case right now. So we will see. Is it going to be done? I think it's going to be okay. Let's have a look at how close is actually going to get it to our target. It is good, superb. It's going to sort itself out with a little tiny thrust here and there, and there we go. We can just stop it. Just stop that, yeah. And then what we can actually do is we can put it on. We can put it on normal, just because that's what I do. There we go. Stick it onto normal, and it can sit there like that for us now. Wonderful, perfect. It will just stay there like that. Right. And then we can turn that off. So that's one done. Is that actually meeting our requirements? That is the question we're going to ask ourselves. Right, so it is doing all those things. It's doing all that. Okay. Right, so we can say it's doing all the things it requires to do. Inclination, everything's okay. It's coming up with these red ones because you can't have the same vessel complete multiple missions. So we will have to have a look. So yeah, this one's now being considered to be the number 1. So that's 2, 3, and 4. It's not number 5. New vessel scan is new, correct. Okay, we've got all these little characteristics that are in play. Wonderful. Right. So let's have a look at jumping back. Can we? No, we're going to have to go into map view. Let's have a look. So we're going to jump to this one. We're going to switch to it. And then let's think about the next step. I want to spread these out around the orbit. We've got about 6 minutes between the different orbital heights. So if I go 5, that's 30 minutes around the orbit. It's a bit too much. 4. I'm going to do some maths right now, and I will be right back with you. Right, after doing a little bit of on the back of a napkin calculations to figure out, what I should be doing, I think we want to do 3 orbits in between each release. I think. I might be wrong, but we'll see. So we've got 0 orbits between we've got 0 orbits since that one's circularized. So we're going to go for 1 more, like so. Go all the way around to it. It's going to slow down when we get to it. And then we're going to go past it. Wonderful, superb, and go again. Then we're going to go 2. All right, and this one we're going to release at this point here, and we'll take the new craft around and we'll get it to circularize at the next apoapsis. So let's see if we get a glitch again with this one. And don't worry, I'm not going to make you watch me do this over and over again. So let's decouple the opposite side. Yeah, let's decouple this one. So decouple. Let's jump to it. And again, it is showing that decoupler, which is interesting. Right, I see. Now that decoupler was set to decouple on the top there. Let's get back to this. And I'm going to do that that maneuver for you, and then we'll move on. Right, and we are back with this. We're going to rename this one like we did the last one. So obviously, not range thingy, right? Obviously there is a glitch here because to give you a little insight, when I was building these craft, I actually put the decoupler so that the upper node, the one that attaches the engine, should be decoupled. So the actual decoupler should have stayed attached to the basically the carrier vessel. It seems to have decoupled fine with the decoupler, however, attached to the bottom of here. And then when you decouple this, it actually, basically the decoupler becomes the root part, I think. So maybe we should do a control from here on this and then do something with the decoupler, I think, maybe. The decoupler exploding like that, though, even if it was decoupled, shouldn't really explode. So I wonder whether it's firing itself through the craft or something like that. It's quite interesting, though, that it's doing that. So I'll do this one. And then the 4 I will actually do off camera because you do not need to see me doing this multiple times. You can see there's the carrier craft there. So we didn't go very far. It's not like there's a big punch from like Kraken punching or anything. The craft has not moved very far at all. So I don't really get what the explosion is about. We're going to put the RCS on. Are we working? Are we progressing? Yeah, there we go. Look at that. Perfect. Right. We have, let's see, apoapsis in 130, so we're going to do another circularization. We're going to create the node and execute. There we go. This is going to go around. What we can do is actually look on the map view now and see where's the first one. That's the first one, is it? Is that our first one? Where's our first one? That must be it there, is it? Nope. Where is the first vessel that we sent up? That's interesting. It seems to have vanished. Oh, have we turned off relays? No, there is a relay there. So where's that vessel gone? Let's get rid of all of this stuff. Oh, it's behind us, isn't it? Of course it's behind us. We go faster. So we're now sat behind there. Can we get any crosstalk? There is crosstalk between the two. Okay, that's good. So they're close enough like this with the doing this on its third orbit for us to get crosstalk. Obviously it's not perfect, so we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to have probably a gap. We're going to have probably a gap in the system, but we can't help that. You know, our launch wasn't perfect. If I really wanted to improve it, we could send up that other 6 constellation that we've got and try and do something with that. But I'm not massively worried. What's this going on here? Why is there a red line there? Oh, because there's other craft that it's obviously communicating with. Okay, so we do have the communication system there that this is bouncing off as well. So these should be able to provide a bit of coverage over the poles, which we were sort of a little bit lacking at the moment. And they'll just augment that quite nicely, I think. We've got a little bit of a catch glitch there, I think. We're frozen. There we go. Oh, jump back. All right, it's going to finish off its burn, get reasonably close. That's good enough for me. Fine, we'll put you on normal. You have quite a bit of fuel left in you. So these things are quite capable. We could have actually reduced them. The original plan was to put the craft into a higher orbit and then pull them down into this orbit and be really accurate about it. We've not done that because we didn't have enough fuel on the launch stage. So what I've learned is we should have probably used the we should have probably used the Javelin 4 for this instead of the Javelin 3 with its extra bit on the top. Should have probably put the money in where our mouth is and just gone for it, but you live and you learn. So that's one of the things we have now learned, that actually just spend the money. Right, we're going to switch to this one. I'm going to position these other 4. I'm going to see if I can figure out how to not have everything explode all the time. I may just decouple them all in one go, and I will see you in but a moment. Alright, I brought you back just so that I can do the final one of these and put them in position. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you I've fixed the exploding problem. We decouple our craft, we jump across to it, and then straight away we're going to change this to control from here. There we go. Then we're going to create our node. Wonderful. We're going to stage that off. You'll notice it jumps all over the place, explodes behind us somewhere. But we're now in control of this thing, and that means I can actually stage all this, do this, create node and execute that. There we go. And this is going to circularize itself now for us. Isn't that wonderful? So it's going to warp forward about 2 minutes. While that's happening, we can rename it, because we need to rename all the vessels, put it into a relay. One of them I have forgotten to rename. I will do it in the map for you later. So it's going to be 120F. There we go. Good stuff. We're going to close the alarm. Yeah, delete that. Thank you. There we go. Right. So this thing will now sort itself out, put itself into a circular orbit. We can timey-wimey that a little bit. Where were we? Come on. There we go. Get yourself going. Get yourself going. It's going to fire its engines, and then we can just warp that a little bit faster, get ourselves up there. Now, to note, there is the remaining vessel is up there, and I'm going to do something with that in a minute. We're going to actually be renaming it, and I'll show you why when we get to it. This is the part of the reason why I think this mission failed in its fullness. I mean, it's not an entire failure. Let me put it that way. We're going to cancel that node. Cancel a node. Cancel. Abort node execution. There we go. Get rid of that. There we go. Hold on a second. Why are we? Thank you. I want to go to there. Why is this not cancelling? Remove all nodes. That's better. Right. So that should mean that we've actually got this thing finished. Let's go and check. Oh, it won't let me scroll. Why won't it let me scroll? Hello? Has it actually completed? Oh, I think it's completed without us even realizing. There we go. Navigation system has completed. Ah, it's wonderful. Keep that in there for looking at it later. So we've got our navigation system up, so you don't even need it to be up for any significant amount of time. What I will do is if we pop those off and we just put our relays on, you can now see that we have D is there. What's that? B. So C is about there. I need to actually put C in properly. You've got D, you've got E, you've got F, I've got A there. So there is potentially, if I'd put a 7th one on and put it there, we would have been fine. However, this is better than I thought it was going to be when we first launched, when we got into orbit. Yeah, we've got some of our comms system, sort of, you know, our Molnier orbits and things there. We've got our ring there of ecom craft, and you can actually see we're getting signal from random things to these craft. But our ecom craft, for example, are able to, if we put this on, let us, there we go. We've now got this. we've also got this ring here with the gravitational sensors, which are now actually being able to communicate all the time, which is quite nice. You can see we've got the ECOM craft actually able to now signal down to these and round to the poles and everything. So we've got pretty good coverage actually over most of the planet now. So that's going to leave us sort of quite happy for our coverage now, I think. We'll put that back off crazy view. Right, now, there's one more thing to do this episode, and that is, when I bring it back up, because I've just clicked it off, this craft here. So we're going to switch to this craft. This craft here is not just going to sit and be a piece of rubbish in space. Now, this actually has a second purpose, and I've not done this before in this way. So yeah, we have a mission outstanding, and the mission is we need to dock. We need to dock 2 craft in orbit. I have never docked 2 craft. I don't think I have anyway in RP-1 or RSS or RO anything. I've never docked 2 craft where they're in a polar orbit. And I thought it would be an interesting idea to just try and do this. Now, you can see that we have a docking port there, but it's currently blocked. So what I need to do is what we've just done before. I need to control from here, and then I need to fire this thing. So decouple. There we go. And it's oh dear. Is this blocking? Oh no. Enable bottom stage. Decouple. There we go. Right. And it blows up, obviously. So those have actually been acting backwards to the way they should. So this thing here is basically going to be our target vehicle. So we can rename this actually. We can rename the vessel to, I don't know what we call it, target, docking target 1. There we go. And we'll call it what do we call it? A ship. Let's call it a ship. Docking target 1 ship. Right. Now, we're in polar orbit. This thing is going to run out of electric charge. I mean, I'm going to be honest here. Let's actually have a look. What's our predicted electric charge on this thing? I want to do that. We don't have signal. Oh dear. Now, I'm going to be cheaty. We're going to put it. We're going to spin this thing round until it is in above the North Pole. So I want to come to about here. Actually, we could do it South Pole. Let's do it South Pole. So we're going to come down to the South Pole about there. Okay. And this is just to make life easier to me. So we're going to warp here. I don't know if I can actually do this now because we don't have an antenna on this. I completely forgot. There we go. Right. And I'm going to put it on normal. We're going to activate the RCS. Yeah, it's a little cheaty, but you could imagine that even without signal, this thing would have been designed to position itself into this orientation already. Oh, actually, no, I probably want to be radial in, don't I? Actually thinking about it. Yeah, let's do radial in. That's probably better. Radial in would probably be better at this position. And then we'll turn it off and have it keep position like that, I think is probably what we're going to do. So the reason I'm waiting until we're over the pole is that this thing is basically aligned to the axis of the Earth, so that when I come in for docking, I know which way around it's going to be roughly. It doesn't really help much, but if I've got to keep it in one direction, that's the direction I'm going to keep it in. So there we go. Do that. Put that there like that, and it should just hold itself now, which is quite nice. So that's just going to sit there. We're going to actually kill rotation. Can I kill rotation? Oh, we do not have anything to stop rotation on this. I forgot about this one. So this has actually got an induced roll there, you see. It's rolling slowly. And we don't have anything to stop that because this doesn't have any roll control on itself, which is something I never built into the craft. So there we go. That is now going to be our docking target. Wonderful, isn't it? You can see fits perfectly, that little docking port. It's almost like it was designed for that. Next episode, we will have to bring forth a craft to attempt to dock with it, and we'll see what happens. So I think that's going to be it from me. So from me, until next time, I'm not sure how long or short this episode has been. It's been, at least interesting. We've got ourselves a communication system. We've got a bit more cash. Next time, we're going to prepare ourselves a docking craft, and we're going to try and dock to this thing. So have a great one.